Welcome, everybody, to the R&R CatCast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy. All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R CatCast. I'm your handsome host, Ryan Foley. He's your bearded host, Ryan Thornburg. We are the Ryans of the R&R, the Montana State affiliate of the Big Sky Podcast Network, and we have a sweet sponsor in Gear Up Sports. Gear Up Sports is a youth sports platform focusing on solving the uniform and apparel headaches for coaches. If you're a high school or you're a middle school coach and you need to use some uniforms, some player packs, contact them at gearupwithus.com. Make sure to mention the R&R CatCast. I would add, Gear Up Sports is a Bobcat-owned company. If you just have a company and you need gear for your employees, contact them at gearupsports.com. What are you doing?
Trying to make faces at you so you'd laugh in the middle of your read. Hey, Bobcat fans, welcome to the show. How you doing, man?
All right. Hey, we're 1-0, buddy. We got an FBS win.
Oh, man, that felt good. That felt good.
Dude. Let's go.
Feels even better today after sitting on it for a couple days.
Woo, man. All right.
It's a relief.
Well, I'm glad to be here with you, Thorny. I just got done golfing. I'm all out of sorts, and so I'm not 100% prepared for this, but we're going to give it a go. I think what we're going to talk about today, there is no new poll. We do have some news. We have some players of the week because guess what? Montana State was the only team playing for the Big Sky. Got them all.
What's the point of
we'll talk about those guys. We'll talk a little bit about Coach Vigen's presser and some of the press conferences that came out post the game. We're going to recap the University of New Mexico game. Thorny's going to go over the stats. I'm going to go over the personal stats. We're going to get all geeky with numbers for a little bit. And then we'll talk a little bit about the Utah Tech game that's coming up on Saturday night. Golden Coolie questions after that.
Sounds good, man. Let's get right into it. I'm excited to our first game recap.
Woo!
That's what we do.
Those are the best ones, man. This is what we do.
Yeah, the preseason stuff's all fun. It's just filler, but this is why we started this podcast. Talk football after the game.
Yeah, I do want to mention just a little. Hey, if you downloaded our episode last week and there was a little snafu at the end, there was some bad connections going on, and apparently Thorny said it was on your side. There was like outages. Yeah. What was going on?
Yeah, my internet just kept dropping in the middle of recording, and I kept thinking it was you because you'd freeze up, and then it looked fine on my side. And then I tried to edit the episode to edit all that out, and then I get a text from you like, there's a whole bunch of crap left in there. Listen back. I was like, how did I miss that? I think I actually had errors exporting the file from my audio processing software. I think my hard drive filled up. Like everything could have gone wrong on that episode, and some of the crankiness off air, I think, made it into the episode, which I fixed. Yeah. But if you got it first, I'm sorry about that. I was getting pretty upset about everything.
Yeah.
I didn't actually listen to the part that you said, but apparently there was some F-bombs dropped.
A couple F-bombs. There's some moments in this podcast where it's like 11 o'clock at night. It's on a Tuesday night. We just got to get it done. And it was like, it was not getting done. So there it is.
I asked that same question like 4 times. Yeah. That same Twitter question. And then I listened back to it, and apparently I didn't even edit that correctly. I still was in there twice, but at least there wasn't any more swear words and grumpy words. I'm like, whatever, good enough. Let's move on to the next one. Flush it. That's our week 0. Flush it down the toilet. Got it done. Move on.
Yeah, well, hopefully we didn't lose any listeners. I know we got a couple guys that contacted us, and we're like, all of them said they're like belly laughing about it. Yeah. And I wasn't. I was sweating. I was like, oh my gosh, we got to get this thing.
You know what? If you were listening to a podcast and that happened, you would probably think it'd be funny.
Yeah, I guess so.
If it would happen to anyone else, like if you're listening to your Lance Armstrong podcast and that happened, you'd probably laugh.
Yeah, I guess it was all right. Well, just wanted to clear the air
Our
because it was a little awkward.
All
right.
The editor's going to be in trouble. He's already been reprimanded.
All right.
He's only allowed to have one beer per recording session.
What do we do first? Let's talk about what's in our golden coolies.
What's in your golden coolie?
What's in your golden coolie is sponsored by Wilbur Ellis. Go see Shay Richter up in Fort Benton for all your farming and fertilizer needs. Fully. I'm bringing it back. My goat, Cold Smoke.
Whoa.
Get myself a Cold Smoke. It's a victory beer. And I have a few of them left.
I don't think you had one of those on last season.
I think I might have had one heading into Cat Grizz or right around thereabouts. I don't know. I may have made a snafu last year. I'm pretty sure I had one last year. Love that beer. Love it. If you don't know, it's from the, oh my gosh, blanking at Kettle House over in, I'm going to say Bonner. We'll just go with Bonner. So I don't have to say the M word. Because that's technically what it says in the can, so I'm going to go with that.
Go with Bonner. I like it. All right, dude. Well done. Well done. I have a Field 41 Pale Ale from Bale Breaker, and that's out of here in Yakima. I've been to this brewery. Some of the best hops in the world grown right here in Yakima in Washington State. And Field 41, if you've been lucky enough to have any of Bale Breaker's beers, you're blessed. Consider yourself a blessed beer drinker because they're amazing. So just the pale ale, top cutter, bottom cutter, IPAs. I mean, they're all over. But if you ever get a chance to go to the Yakima tap room, oh my gosh, perfect stuff. It's just lovely. If you like hops, I know Thorny you don't, but a lot of our listeners do. It's a treat. Take a trip down to Yakima.
Well, I remember I bought a Bale Breaker beer a couple years ago for an episode because it was like Golden Harvest or something like that. And it was an IPA and I had really enjoyed it. And I was like, I remember talking about in the episode, like, fully, this is a first. I'm having an IPA and I actually kind of like it. And then I never found it again. I don't know if that was just a seasonal one that they did. Because we have Bale Breaker out here, but I've never found that specific one again. I've looked almost every time. I'm like, it must have just been a one-off that I got lucky on.
Yeah, they rotate a lot. I've noticed that they have a couple that they're always in the store, but man, good stuff. So there we go. Okay, news. Well, there's no new poll out for this week, so
which is BS. We weren't the only FCS team playing. Come on, new top 25. Come on. I didn't pay attention in previous years. Did they just not do a poll after week one? Like, meh, doesn't count.
At least I don't know. We was just like we couldn't find one. There might be.
I didn't see one. Hero Sports didn't tweet it, or they didn't have it on their website, and neither did FCS Athlon or whatever Craig Haley's thing is. So they must wait. So we'll go into the new rankings with like 2 games on a resume. It's kind of weird.
What was fun today was my first day back at work, and so we're having all these teacher meetings, and it's just getting kind of boring. So I flip open my phone, and I look, and there's an email from the Big Sky Conference saying weekly awards announced. I was like, okay, and yeah, I kind of chuckled because, of course, all Montana State Bobcats, because that's the only Big Sky team that played this week, and well-deserved. Adam Jones, Offensive Player of the Week, 167 yards and 93-yard touchdown. He was the dude, and I know Montana State and Bobcats around are just gushing about this guy right now, as you should be. He was the man, and not just on that play, just heady plays as Tom Stuber, friend of the podcast, was talking about today on the Big Sky Breakdown. He's making some blocks. He was able to get open, kind of a scramble drill. All these things that you wouldn't necessarily think a freshman would be doing, but Adam Jones is out there earning Big Sky Player of the Week against, I guess the other person would have been, I guess, Scotty Humphrey would have been
against
the
this
second.
fellow running back would be the only person
Yeah.
I would say would be their person. I think Jones would have won that in a normal week.
Yeah.
Against an FBS team, that kind of stat line, I think that's pretty solid, solidly earned, well deserved. Now, I want to talk plenty about him later in the episode for sure.
Defensive Player of the Week, McCade O'Reilly. He led the team with tackles on Saturday, 10 tackles with 1.5 tackles for a loss. And he just flashed everywhere on the screen. I was like, man, there's McCade, there's McCade, there's McCade. It's good to see. Danny Yu was getting washed up, like I said, in the instant reaction, and McCade is just making play after play. I like to see that. And then special team player, Brennan Hall. And
legit game.
Yeah, Brennan Hall, 2 punts.
Booming.
Averaging, I think he averaged like 45 and a half or something with a long of 52. So yeah, good on him. There it is.
Yeah, that's about the only national or conference stuff we're going to get this week. Lame. Funny, though.
There wasn't, Thorny, I didn't see any injuries come out of this game.
So there was one, and it was announced in the press conference. The one part I did catch, and somebody alluded to it on the thread. Elijah Elliott went down.
Oh, really?
He went down on a kick return. And he said he'll be out for a few weeks. Zach Black went down, but he came back in, so I think he's fine. So relatively unhurt. Sucks about Elijah Elliott, especially for a senior season. Hope he gets back on the field here soon, but pretty clean game, I guess, in terms of injuries.
With Zach Black, I know it was his other knee, not the one that was surgically repaired.
That's good. Still scary, though.
I mean, you never want a knee.
So, come on.
Yeah, but you don't want to re-injure the one that was just repaired. So I think that's the best news he could get, I suppose, if it's going to be a knee. So
I mean, he came back in, so it must have been good enough to get back in the game anyway.
Yeah. And then let's talk a little bit about the press conferences. I'm gonna withhold on Coach Vegan just for a moment. Give me Ty McCullough every week, and I think the media guys know this because he's straight up money on the camera. That guy just says like it is, and he just wants it all. And I love him. His moxie, his bravado, his just candidness, his he has a level of assurance he's just walking with right now. And I just love me some Ty McCullough. He had a line today. What did he say? I don't know. I just said it does wonders for a team. He talked about how a comeback win feels for the team. And you just comparing to last year. Last year we didn't get done. This year we got done. It does wonders for a team. But I don't know. Just do yourself a favor. Go watch a Ty McCullough interview. You're going to be inspired.
It definitely got a lot of moxie. He kind of seems like he demands excellence out there because a couple times he was kind of giving Tommy the business a little bit.
I like that.
Yeah. It's like, hey, man, put it here. The route was here. Put it here. Yeah. I kind of like it as long as it doesn't turn into complaining. Like people kind of throw the, receivers that like get all upset on the field. You don't typically like to see that too much, but if it's, reined in a little bit, it's okay. It can be okay. But it can also be a problem.
To me, it comes off as demanding excellence because he doesn't come across as a complainer in his press conferences.
Fair enough.
In fact, he's just pumping his team up. He's like, you don't know what we went through. We've had a tough offseason. We are constantly put in these positions. Like we're juiced for this. We are ready for this. Watch us the next couple weeks. We're gonna go off. He just
I didn't catch it. I'll have to catch him. Catch his interview.
Man. Yeah. It was a pleasure. Thank you, Mr. McCullough.
Anything else from the press conference before we move on?
Well, vegan. Before I get to vegan, I'm still going to hold off on that. Simeon Woodard was the other guy that was interviewed. He seems to be a good face for the team. This is, I think, his second or third time in front of the camera this season. He he's a good blue and gold guy. He's very likable, affable guy in front of the camera. Says a lot of good-natured things. Has a lot of positive things to say. He's a feel-good story. He at least that's how he appears on camera. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Montana State put him, back in the camera once or twice before the season's over.
Yeah, I didn't catch that one either.
Yeah, well, there you go. So I didn't catch the vegan. I did it for a little bit just to see what he was wearing, but that's it.
Yeah, I mean, I caught a little bit of it. Nothing really stuck out to me. Just kind of recapping the game and then talked a little bit about the injuries. Yeah, someone asked about the depth chart because Miles Jackson wasn't on it on the nickel, and he's like, "Huh." He's like, "Well, he should be. He should be the starting nickel." So he's like, "I don't know what happened with the depth chart, but." Miles Jackson's the starting nickel, and Caden Dollar would be their starting safety. And I think the rest of the depth chart is the same as it was for New Mexico.
Okay.
I don't think there's any changes from what I saw. So other than that, Brent Vigen's press conferences aren't the most exciting thing in the world, and that's okay. They don't have to be, but I don't like. Oh, I can't wait to listen to Brent Vigen's press conference for the podcast. That's not a thing that happens.
Well, I do enjoy looking and listening to his press conferences. So, but I can let you in what he wore. Are you gonna play a little soundbite for me?
And now, Bobcat fans, it's time for F&F Fashion Watch, brought to you by Foley and Fisher, the only two that seem to really care what Brent Vigen is wearing at his press conference.
It's true. I don't care too much.
Growing population out there demands it.
Okay.
Thorny. Let's get into it. He was wearing, I think, the same gray suit, which I'm not going to knock, but he switched it up with the white shirt. Did not listen to me last week. Don't go white shirt, vegan.
Maybe he did listen to you, and that's why he wore it.
Why would you do that to me? He had a baby blue, white, and navy striped tie. Bum, bum, bum.
Does he do like pocket squares or anything? I don't pay attention.
Nope. Not a man of the pocket squares. Not once.
Is that something coaches wear? Pocket squares?
He could. I mean, it's definitely within the realm of what he could pull off.
Okay. What color pocket square should he wear?
I don't know how to coordinate that stuff.
Okay.
Do you coordinate with the tie? Do you go something opposite? Normally, you want to go coordinate with something with your wife is wearing or your significant other.
Correct. I'd probably just have like a little Bobcat logo, pocket square, like the little champ eyes, just like peeking up over the pocket. That's what I do. Fold it in just a way there's like a cat face.
Okay.
Can you imagine like a guy like Brent Vigen up there, like a big guy, with a serious look on his face with like a little cat pocket square? Just deadpan expression the whole time.
I want to. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen. Someday when I'm head coach, that's gonna be my calling card. Pocket square Thornburg. That's what they used to call me in high school. All right. Let's move on to the. You ready to do the stats recap here?
Yeah, let's do it. I've been waiting for a long time to get into the stats.
Let's do this ship. All right. Montana State goes down to Albuquerque and wins 35-31 on 27 first downs to just 19 for the Lobos. Third down, 6 for 12 for the Cats, 1 for 8 for New Mexico. That was pretty solid effort there. On the flip side there, the bad side, the Cats were 0 for 3 on fourth down, and they were pretty crucial in a couple of those. Like there's not once, but twice that we didn't get a fourth down. I'm like, well, that just cost us the game. Neither one of them ended up costing us the game. It felt very consequential at the time, both of those. Cats rolled up 567 yards of offense, 205 through the air, and 362 on the ground.
Jeez.
Cats went 21 of 32 through the air on 6.4 yards per pass. And the part that kind of surprised me, the Lobos, they were dinking and dunking all over the place, but I felt that they had a lot more yards per pass than us, but it was only 6.6. So they were
Yeah.
right around the same in yards per pass, and the Lobos ended up with 172 passing yards on 18 and 26. And then New Mexico had 152 on the ground on 5.4 yards per carry. I don't think I said it yet. 7.7 yards per carry for the Cats. That is
Gosh.
absurd for any level of competition, but playing up against a defensive-minded coach like Bronco Mendenhall. And the crazy part is, and I don't want to get too off tangent here, it could have been a lot more than that. New Mexico's safeties were excellent tacklers. Like if there was a lot of times they made a tackle that saved a huge touchdown play. I don't want to get into that later, but 6 penalties on the Cats for 72 yards, 4 on New Mexico for 30 yards. There are 2 turnovers for the Bobcats, both on Tommy Millat, both resulted in points for New Mexico, and one fumble lost by New Mexico on the last play of the game when the wide receiver chucked the ball 30 yards backwards. That was a rocket. The guy chucked it. 34 minutes, and 40 seconds of time possession to 25 minutes and 20 seconds for the Lobos, which looks really good on paper until you realize 2 scoop and scores will do that pretty quickly. But but there you go. There's the overall team stats for this victory.
Gonna add a couple more. Red zone. Montana State was 4 for 4 in the red zone.
That's good.
The Lobos were 1 for 2. Montana for sacks. Montana State had 0 sacks. Yeah. And the Lobos had 3 for 14 yards. And for field goals, we didn't attempt any, and they were 1 for 3.
And those are very consequential.
Here's a new stat that came out that I thought it was interesting. First downs, when we broke them down, Montana State had 14 rushing first downs, 11 pass first downs, and 2 penalty first downs.
No.
The Lobos had 9 rush, 7 pass, and 3 penalties. So pretty balanced.
Yeah, that's good. What stats are you looking at?
See, if I told you that, I would have to. Then you're going to get them, and then I have nothing else to say on this. So
you get the individual stats. Team stats in my realm.
So the ESPN stats is what you rattle off.
Usually.
If you go onto the Montana State website, you're going to get a little more in-depth stats, game stats.
Gotcha. I'm looking at the Big Sky Conference stats for the game right now too.
Yeah. Okay. Tommy Millat was 21 for 32 for 205.
And how many of that was on the last drive?
2 touchdowns. He rushed for 9 times for 30 yards and 1 touchdown. If you would have told me Tommy Millat passed for 205 yards, 81, like you said, in the last drive, I don't know. I was thinking 150 was the sweet spot for him.
200 yards for Tommy seems good.
Yeah.
Like that's if Tommy can consistently get to 200, the Cats are going to be really good.
Yeah. Only rushing for 30s, maybe a bigger surprise, right?
Yeah.
Adam Jones, 17 touches for 167, averaged 9.8 yards per carry, 1 touchdown, a 93-yard carry, which is the second longest in Montana State history.
Who was first?
Oh, I looked at it. I didn't know the name.
Didn't
it was
recognize
97
it. Okay.
yards, though.
Must be an older one.
Yeah, 97 yards. Scotchy Humphrey was at 19 carries for 140 yards, 7.4 on average, 1 touchdown, 34 long. Ty McCullough had 7 catches for 66 yards, 1 touchdown, and he rushed the ball 2 times on some sweeps for 25 yards with a long of 19.
Mm-hmm.
Lanyata Junior Alexander had 5 catches for 58 with a long of 37. Rohan Jones caught the ball 3 times for 25 yards with a long of 16. Ryan King was 1 for 9. Taco was 1 for 7. Rylan Schlepp was 1 for 5 with a touchdown. Makeda, jump over to the defensive side of the ball. Makeda Riley had 10 totals tackles, 5 solo, 1.5 tackles for a loss. Danny Yu had 9 total, 7 solo, 2 tackles for a loss. Andrew Powdrell had 3 total, 1 solo, and a half tackle for a loss. Brody Greavy only had 2 total tackles with a half tackle for a loss.
Mm-hmm.
That was kind of like for me. Rylan Ort, 7 total, 5 solo. Hunter Parsons, 1 total, 1 tackle for a loss. And then Miles Hanstead was 5 for 5 on his PATs. And he is elevated on the depth chart this week. as well as Brennan Hall, 2 for 91, along with 52. And just to wrap up the stats a little bit on the Lobos side, Devin Dampier, their QB, was 18 for 26 for 172 and 1 touchdown. And he rushed the ball 3 times for 34 yards and a touchdown. And then Eli Sanders had 17 carries for 87 yards with a long of 36.
Eli Sanders was a good back.
That's so. They also had a receiver, Luke Wysong, who had 6 catches for 95 yards, so almost a 100-yard receiver.
He was on some sort of like national preseason, like all-purpose yardage player watch list thing.
Cool. Good for him. How'd you know that?
Did my prep, baby.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
I did some prep for New Mexico.
Yeah, I liked Eli Sanders. He was shifty, fast, could stop on a dime, make people miss.
But he was also like powerful too. Like he was strong.
Yeah.
Good back. Could see why he
Take him.
did really well at was he the one that transferred from Iowa State or was it a different guy? But
don't know. I do know that their running back from last year, the one who was their leading rusher, transferred to Arizona. So I didn't know much about Eli.
Yeah, it's from Iowa State. There it is. I'm looking it up. So he transferred from the Cyclones. Is that they are?
Cyclones. All right, let's get into the game. Let's recap the game. Where do you want to start?
Start at the beginning.
Oh, yeah.
Tommy looked shaky. I think it's the first thing that I noticed right off the bat. Tommy was not on right away. Threw a couple in the dirt. And then, of course, he got strip sacked on a play where he should have seen the pressure coming and at the very least should have just held the ball and took a sack. So right off the bat, like, oh man, here we go. After we had like a couple of good plays too. We had like a nice run from Scotty Humphrey, and then we had like a nice hitch route to, I think it was Lanyata maybe, caught a first down ball, and then disaster, man. Disaster struck real quick in the game.
Tommy doesn't seem to start fast. It's kind of normal for him.
So is he a guy that you need to start designing the rhythm quarterbacks? You need to get the quick passes, get him in the rhythm.
Yeah.
And if so,
100%.
we need to do a better job of it, I guess. If that's how he's wired, we need to get him in rhythm quicker.
You know, sidebar, I think Tyler Walker called a really good game.
I think he learned as he went. I think he definitely started figuring things out, figuring New Mexico out a little bit. But overall, yeah, I thought he did a pretty good job. There was like that last 4th down call was kind of, but there was a couple that I was like, I don't know if that's what I would have done, but I think overall, yeah, I think he had a pretty good game.
Okay. Tough call in the game when you don't really know what's coming. Coach Fegan said,
yeah,
you know, we had some ideas. The pressures they showed, they said they saw, but not to the frequency.
Yeah, New Mexico was sending guys like almost every single play.
Yeah.
Or at least when they thought it was going to be a pass play.
Aggressive.
They were very
100%.
Aggressive and
very aggressive.
I mean, that's kind of what Idaho did a little bit. Like Tommy has a little hard time picking up blitzes, like recognizing blitzes, I guess is a better phrase.
Yeah.
And it's something he needs to improve on for sure. Because if he's not going to run as much as he is, and if he's susceptible to getting blitzed and making mistakes, then teams are going to start sending the house at him.
Yeah. Makes a lot of sense.
So there we go, down 7-0 real fast. I don't know how the next drive went. We ended up punting, but New Mexico ended up getting a field goal next, and then they had that sneaky package where they rolled out and fooled every single person on the planet, at least on the Bobcat side, and that was a 17-0 touchdown, or is it? Yeah. I'm going to look inflated here, but it was a slow start for the Bobcats, however you want to slice it. And that was kind of a frustrating start. And the defense was getting started a little bit, but they also had no film. Or like, what are they going to do offensively? What's New Mexico going to do offensively? And the defense looked a little lost for stretches there in the first half.
Agreed. It was, I would say the first 30, 40 minutes of this game just felt very frustrating. Montana State fans like you and me were sitting here all season going, man, Coach Daly's going to bring it. Tyler Walker's going to dial this up. And it just seemed like we were wearing concrete boots everywhere. Just metaphorically.
Yeah.
Man, we can't get going. It was bad. It was bad for a long time. But then, we hit back-to-back scoring drives.
Yeah.
And cut it to 3. And they're like, okay, we're going to go. We're going to go. This is going to happen. And then, you know what? They built another 17-point lead.
Yeah.
After that. 2
separate times that 17-point lead. So we go into like halftime down 24-14 after storming back, making it 14-17. And then I think we gave up that last touchdown, which I don't remember which one it was, but how are you feeling? How are you feeling at halftime?
Defeated. And just kind of pissed off, to be honest. I was like, man, this feels just like the same old Bobcats. I feel a little bit like I just want the Bobcats to take a new step. And I don't even know how to articulate that step. Maybe it's just being dominant on the road, like rising to the occasion in the big time moment. Is this a big time moment? Well, it was. It was on national TV. You've been touted all week long. It's like this growing almost 14-point dog favorites. Blow that out of the water. Exceed my expectations. Don't just eke by. And I don't know who talked about it today. I was listening to somebody. They're like, Montana State seems to play these like kind of close games on the road. Is that who we are? I don't want us to be that. I would like to dominate. And I just was feeling just kind of like you were, Thorny. We're just same old Bobcats is how I felt at halftime.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much how I felt too. It's like, we look like we always do. We look like we're timid. We look like our play calling all of a sudden goes vanilla. We look like we can't tackle anybody. Seems to be how these things go when we play FBS teams. I know that the athletes are a higher caliber, even at a school like FBS, like New Mexico. They had some dudes, and they had lots of dudes because they had more scholarships. So they had a lot of athletes out there and a lot of bigger looking kids. Like they looked bigger than us, pretty much across the board.
Yeah.
It just felt like that. It's like, well, we're not ready, is how I kind of felt. Like we had talked about in the episode leading up to it. I think that the Cats need to beat a team like New Mexico if they're going to be a legit national championship contender, because that's typically what those programs do. Especially a team like New Mexico. Like we talked about, like Sac State can beat Colorado State. Like other teams upset FBS teams on a routine basis, and the Cats just have historically been terrible in these games. Or we come close. Like, I mean, this could have gone the exact same way that Wyoming went a couple years ago. But it didn't, though. But we'll get to that. But yeah, at halftime, so feeling all the feels. And then the start of the second half, forget about it.
Here's what kind of transpired like in and around halftime. All right. So Montana State goes on their 14-point spree. We cut the score to 14-17, right? They're like, oh man, Montana State has the momentum. No, the Lobos have a 9-play, 75-yard drive. That's the one where Devin Dampier has the naked bootleg at the very end. And you're just like, man, like we had the momentum and we just gave up a full football field to these guys. Okay, 14-24. Then we go 5 plays and punt, and we can't even run out the clock at the very end. And then they get 1 play. So you're like, man, at least Cats maybe be able to score before the end of the half. No, we have to punt it away. All right, end of the half. So we go in feeling like, oh, blah, blah, blah. The very first series after that, fumble return touchdown. And so you're just thinking,
just not our day.
No, it's not. You're just like,
not our day.
It just doesn't feel like. And then we have a 10-play drive that gets turned over on downs. So
Is that the one that had the bad spot?
Yeah, I think so.
That spot was atrocious. So. That wasn't yet another indicator of like kids just can't catch a break. Like it was clear that Humphrey got that first down. Clear.
I'm actually not sure that was the one that.
Yeah, that might not be the 10-play one because it doesn't sound like that. I don't feel that was a 10-play drive, but
because
whenever that happened, that was just pissed me off. Like it's just one of those things. Like cats just can't catch a break in these kinds of games. It's like we just kept trying to fight out of the hole, and we just kept stupid stuff like that.
So you have all that back to back to back, and you're just like, it's just not going well for the Cats. And we just didn't rise to the occasion. And that's midway through the third quarter. And I was like, man, we talked about this on the CatCast last week. We're like, they're going to seize momentum, but they're not going to be able to ride it through the whole game. And I'm sitting there on the couch going, it feels like they're not letting this momentum going because they got the fourth down stop. The fist is in the air. The fourth down. You didn't get it. Sons of guns. Look at you. You know, everybody, their sideline is just hopping and dancing. And, you know, I was like, well, Foley, you were wrong, bro, because they got all the momentum and it looks like they ain't giving it up. But then something happens. They miss a field goal. And then all of a sudden you start going, but maybe there's a little bit of hope.
No, that was, and the next drive after that, Eli Sanders had his 36-yard big burst up the middle, slicing and dicing through our secondary. Yeah. That was a few plays after that fourth down stop. So then you're like, oh, great. Well, crap. You know, that was our last gasp. We didn't get that first down. It was like on the 25-yard line, too. I'm looking at it. So we were like getting close to the red zone. Scotty Hunter gets stuffed, gets a bad spot. A couple plays later, they're bursting up the middle for 36 yards. Then the defense holds. Defense holds, and they force a field goal, and the wind had picked up pretty shortly before this, and the guy misses it wide left. All right, misses it wide left, and at this point,
you have a little bit of hope, and then what do? We give it over on downs the next series. We go 6 plays, 18 yards.
No,
inspiring.
You're getting out of your timeline here. We scored a touchdown after this.
Oh, yes. We scored a touchdown. I'm sorry.
That's the one that ended the Tommy Lott scramble after being confused on who's like Adam Jones, not in the right spot. Somebody was in the wrong spot. Crashed into each other a little bit. Tommy, I mean, that was a 10-play, 80-yard drive. That was the response to their first missed field goal.
So we cut it to 10, 21-31. Lobos go down and miss another field goal. At this point, the wind is cooking through the stadium, 50-mile-an-hour gusts.
What is Mendenhall doing, man? Having him come out there and try a 42-yard field goal in the freaking tornado? And the funny thing is, watching that kick, the kicker thought the wind was going to take that ball more than it did. It didn't. Yeah. It didn't hardly move the ball at all. It was really weird. The ball just kept going straight the way he kicked it. I think he was expecting to go, but it didn't curve at all. The kicker's like, what?
Wind was blowing left to right. He kicks it left, expecting it to go right. Did not go left.
Didn't go anywhere.
Did not go right, excuse me.
Poor guy. He planned for the wind, and the wind didn't affect the kick very much. Even though it was ripping around, it was pretty weird to watch. Lucky for us, though. You got to aim for the left upright, not outside the upright. But, yeah, Cats have life now. They've missed 2 field goals in a row. And then, now it's your 6-yard or 6-play drive.
Yeah. And it was weird because we were just, at that point, I was like, we need to pass the ball. And we're just running it. At one point, we felt like we're just wasting a lot of clock running.
And it was a 3-minute drive. That was only 6 plays.
Yeah.
A decent amount of time for only 6 plays.
I was like,
in a crucial time like this, when they're game's coming down and you need points, turn the ball over on a Tommy Lock gets hammered as he's throwing the ball and throws it in the dirt because they blitzed again. And I was watching the replay a little bit. The announcer like draws a red arrow from the safety towards Tommy before it's snapped, and the guy he drew it from does exactly what the arrow does. So the announcer just watching on the TV is like, "Yeah, probably going to be a safety blitz here." And guess what? It was a safety blitz, and it took Tommy down.
Yep, Tommy's like on his back like a turtle.
Yeah, he got kind of clocked on that one. I was like, "Oh man, he's took a shot too." That's when I really felt like, well, we made a little bit of a game of it, but again, it's just not our day. We're just not going to get out of here with a win.
Nope. Kind of like the story of the afternoon where you're like, dang, it's just not going. This is not going to work. And then, what happens after that, Thorny?
There's only 6 minutes and 17 seconds left in the fourth quarter at this point, too. We're down by 10. We just turned the ball over on downs with a little over 6 minutes left. Defense holds them, man. 3 plays, 5 yards. Only a minute off the clock. Punt the ball back. Drops inside the 10 somewhere. Cats take over. Tommy Lott like rushes to the right. Gets horse collar down to the ground. And this is where I didn't see. The replay I was watching doesn't show what happened. They pretty much moved the ball back to where the original snap was. So was there like offsetting penalties or what happened?
Yes.
Okay. I was like, all I saw was a horse collar on the replay. Okay, so anyway, replay first down, I guess, and then boom! Run of the friggin' game. Run of the long time. Not since like Isaiah Fonse's run against Austin P. It was like another run that just sticks in my mind of recent amazing runs. What a run. Adam Jones off the left side. Not a single Lobo in sight. Turns on the burners. Nobody catches him. 93 yards to the house.
Let's take a moment to talk about the offensive line for just a second. Connor Moore, you know where he was playing?
Left tackle.
No, he wasn't.
Is he moving to guard?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they
so
moved
Cedric
him to
Jefferson
guard.
was left tackle?
Yep. Guess who was playing right guard?
Marcus Ware.
Yeah. Where's
His
Marcus
NFL
Ware
spot.
supposed to start? Yeah, okay.
Right tackle, but he might not ever move back to right tackle.
So you have Cole Sane playing center. I haven't played in a long time. You have Cedric Jefferson playing left tackle. And then right tackle.
His first start ever, pretty sure, right?
Titan Fleischman. Yeah. So this makeshift offensive line, we put up, what did you say?
367 rushing yards, I'm pretty sure.
Let's go.
I know, I was thinking about that. Like,
man.
we were down 2 starters. We'll lose guys to the FBS, like 1 to 2 guys a year. We don't bring in transfers necessarily. I mean, Cole Sane is a transfer, but he's been here for a few years. We didn't bring anybody in to fill the gap. I guess we brought in the Omar Ezekiel or whatever his name is, or that guy from like North Texas.
Samora.
Ezekiel Samora. I'm getting Omar Betty confused. I thought his name was Omar too.
Omar.
But these are all guys
like
that have been in the program. Like, we just keep bringing guys up. They're all cobbled together, making their first start together against an FBS squad, and they just are opening holes. Like Adam Jones and Scotty Humphrey are just bursting through there with untouched to the second level. Constantly.
Beautiful, man.
Especially in the second half. Really got it going. Really got it figured out. And that whole, like, it was a beautiful play design. I think there's a pulling guard. I think Taco Dollar was right next to the pulling guard, so it looked like the Cats were running to the right. And they give to Jones like kind of almost like a counter, and just nobody there. You can see like the safety completely bite on it. He's frozen. He's going the wrong direction. By the time he like he turns and kind of stutters a little bit, it's way too late.
Dude, how sweet is Adam Jones?
I didn't know he's that fast.
Golly.
I didn't know he's that fast. He played a little bit last year, but good grief, man. Guy's a burner. He's faster than Scottrey. Probably the fastest running back on the team.
Oh, man.
He's got that top end speed. I mean, Scottrey Humphrey has acceleration like nobody's business, but I'm not sure he has that top gear. I'm not sure he outruns guys like I think Adam Jones can. But that's an insane 1-2 punch. And Julius Davis isn't even playing right now. So we got Julius Davis, Adam Jones, and Scotty Humphrey, and Jared White, what we know he can do. Insane running back room. If especially if the
I don't even know
O-lines
what's
can be
going on
opening
with Jared
holes.
White.
I think Vegan said I think he might have played a tiny bit, but he said Jared White's like time will come or something like that. Like he'll be called upon, basically, but he wasn't in the game plan against New Mexico. I think they wanted maybe the speed and kind of I'm not sure, but no White, yeah.
No,
But I don't think he's hurt or anything. I think he was just it was the Jones and Humphrey show. And what a show it was.
It's beautiful.
What a show it was.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, let's not
Love
ignore Scotty Humphrey's day. Because what did he finish? The 140 on 19 carries. Not bad. He was out dueling Jones until the 93-yard touchdown run.
Yeah. Chunk play after chunk play. Love it. So,
And like I said, at those plays, if those holes are open in FCS games, New Mexico did a really good job of tackling. There was a lot of times where Jones burst through the hole and somebody caught his foot and like tripped him up.
I
Or
know.
somebody came up and stuck him like before he could even make a cut. Like they had some good tackling guys in the second level. And not everyone's going to have that in the FCS.
Jones visibly frustrated, just like he knows he's won.
Multiple
One
times
missed
he got
tackle
caught
away.
by like a shoestring.
Yeah.
That reminded me of the Washington State game when Troy Anderson was playing running back. There were several times where he just got like shoestring tackled. It was so frustrating.
Yeah. Good memory. Zach Levere texted me after that touchdown and, wow, we have a game. And I was like, he was at the game. He texted me before the play happened on TV. And I was just like, what? And then I see it and I was like, holy cow. And then the Lobos get the ball back. And thank God for the win because it ends on a missed pass to their best receiver. And it hit him in his hip. And they have to punt it back to us.
Yep. It was a behind him. It was a slant
150 on the
route,
left.
which are hard, kind of hard throws. You got to put out in front. Danny Hugh had blitzed, and I think he got in his face a little bit, and the wind combined just slightly behind the receiver, and it still should have caught it, though. Still hit him in the hands.
Yeah.
Harder catch, but catchable.
I was impressed with Dampier. Dampier was a legit quarterback.
For sure.
Like, he would be a fine quarterback to have on any team.
I mean, he had two drop balls against him that were, he should have had another 20, 30 yards easy.
Yeah. The Lobos got a good quarterback. I wouldn't be surprised if he wills them to a couple wins down the stretch.
I think the Lobos will actually figure some things out. I don't think
cool.
they got some guys. They got some talent.
Yeah. And I like Mendenhall. He's a proven commodity. He seems like a guy who is even keel, who's going to get him to some better places. And then the drive, maybe one of the drives of the season, to be determined, happens.
It'd be pretty hard to top that. So at this point, if you listened to our last episode, I was at halftime or early third quarter. I'd left to go to a punk festival, which is about a 30-minute drive. I turn on the radio briefly while I'm driving. I hear the Tommy Millott touchdown. I turn it back off. I get to the place. I park. I go inside. I have a beer and I check my phone and I kind of see what's happening. I'm like, oh, okay. I don't know where I turned it on, but I sat down in this little bar with a bunch of people wearing like misfit shirts and spikes and mohawks all around me. I'm sitting there watching like a Montana State football game on my cell phone. Like, all right, I gotta watch the end of this game before the next band comes on. And I gotta see the entire drive on my cell phone. It was one for the ages, man. So how does it start? They punt the ball away after the third down drop, and Taco has a nice little return, but it's called back for a holding. And I might have been Zach Cruz. I don't remember who the guilty party was, but it doesn't matter. So we start pretty deep in our own territory. So set the stage. How much time is left?
We got 150 left, 158 left. We're first and 10 at our own 11-yard line.
Oof.
Tommy Mellott hits Junior Alexander, which that was there all game.
It was
And-
like 6 yards. Takes like 3 seconds off the clock.
And
And they would have let us do that all down the field if we wanted to, but
then 2nd and 5 hits Rohan Jones. Jones pops for 16 yards. Fast, shifty,
makes a
tough.
nice cut, man. Makes the guy miss.
Yeah.
We didn't
Let's
make
go.
a lot of guys miss the entire time. The one guy who did was Rohan Jones, of all people.
Yeah, I think that guy's just going to be so fun to watch. So Tommy goes incomplete on 1st and 10. 2nd and 10, Tommy goes incomplete again. And then we're 3rd and 10. And you're like, oh, cow, we're already at 3rd and 10. And then that becomes a big time play. Busted coverage. Lanata gets behind coverage. Tommy floats one up to him for 37 yards. We're cooking.
And Tommy
At that point,
had some nice pocket presence on that too. He like stepped into the pocket and just kind of flung a floater up in the air. It's perfect.
perfect. At that point, I was like, we're either going to tie or win this. I was like, momentum, we're going to get to that point.
Really? You weren't having flashbacks of missing field goals to lose football games? Because I was, especially in the wind.
Actually, I wasn't. I wasn't in that mindset. It was like, we're going to tie or win this because I thought we would get close enough to get a chip shot. Sandstead was 5 for 5 on all of his PATs, and they seemed to be getting better throughout the game. His first couple, too, were like, yeah, they sneaked in left, sneaked in right. His last 3 grooved them. I was like, okay, I think, and this guy's gonna be okay. This guy's gonna be okay.
Well, you know what else was a chip shot? Don't make me say it.
Yeah,
me say it.
Don't.
We had a lot of heartbreaks on kicking last year. I just like, please don't come down and do a kick. Please don't come down. That's all I was saying.
So then we kind of go through the same kind of plays that we just had. We had another 5 out for Lanata, goes 2nd and 5 then, and then we go. Tommy does a little scramble, kind of back, and then Adam Jones gets a 6-yard pass, which was heads up on Adam Jones.
Yeah, that's one where he like blocked a blitzer, got like crashed down on the ground, got up, and scrambled toward the sideline, which is the way Tommy was rolling out, and it was such a headsy play. Tommy finds him, he dives, kind of falls out of bounds, and gets a first down, and gets out of bounds.
Tommy goes incomplete and then hits Adam Jones for 4 yards. And then I think one of the best passes in plays of the game happened on 3rd and 6 where Tommy hits Ty McCullough for 12 yards down to the 4-yard line. And Ty McCullough,
once he caught that, I knew we were going to win.
Yep, exactly. Because at that point, we have 33 seconds left. It's first down. Clock stops.
We didn't burn one timeout. We had one timeout. We didn't even use it. We went down the field so efficiently.
This is where I think Tyler Walker is money. Like that whole series was just perfect. Like it played into Tommy's strengths, quick passes. It was good. It was really good. So hats off, Tyler. That was great. And then it was easy. Scotty Humphrey makes one cutback. Colsane seals the deal, and it's game over.
Dude, how many times have we talked about on this podcast, like, players need to make plays?
Yeah.
Just when the moment's big, players make plays.
Yeah.
And we had lots of guys make plays on that last drive. Adam Jones, Tommy Mellott, Ty McCullough, Onyata Alexander, even get 3 catches on that drive, I'm pretty sure. 2 of them were the easy little outs, but he had that big one. Like, we had guys step up. We had players make plays. Sometimes the dudes just got to make some plays. You can call the best game in the world. If guys don't execute, it doesn't matter. And I think that we had guys step up. That catch from Alexander, like, that happens. I feel like we don't make that play so many times in the past. Like, he gets hit. He got hit early. It should have been pass interference.
Oh, you're talking about McCullough, not Alexander.
Oh, I said McCullough on this one, I thought. I said the last 3 passes that catches Alexander, but now I'm switching over to McCullough. Like, I'm just saying, like, that play, I could just feel like we would have gotten hit early. There would have been no penalty. We would have dropped it, and we would have missed a field goal to lose the game. I feel like that would have been a very typical Bobcat thing to happen in the last few years.
Yeah.
But instead, McCullough catches it. And that's just something that, like, was a huge step forward to my confidence in the program to finally execute and make plays when it matters. I mean, it's one game, so I'm not going to try and overreact one way or the other, but it was a very positive sign for me.
Not just you. Ty McCullough talked about this in his presser today. He's like, this gave us such rich confidence. He's like, watch us now. We're not going to be touched in the next 3 games. We're going to go on a tear. I was like, whoa.
Well, I love that because you know what happened last time we beat an FBS team? The follow-up game. Don't tell me that hasn't crossed your mind.
It actually hasn't. That's why I'm laughing right now.
Yep. Game 1, beat Colorado. Game 2, lose to the Chattanooga State fighting Danny Woodheads.
All right.
We're not going to lose to Utah Tech.
Okay. No. What did we beat them last year? Like 60-13 or something like that?
Yeah, and they got a new coach and a new staff. Honestly, I don't even really feel like talking a whole lot about Utah Tech. We could, but I want to finish up the game.
I'm looking at the clock. It's an hour in.
Yeah, exactly. We're getting an hour in. I kind of want a few more things I want to say about just a monumental win. And I just feel like it's, I mean, yes, it's New Mexico. They're rated one of the worst teams in the FBS. I get all that. There's a lot of hype for the Bobcats in this game, obviously. Favored pretty big by the betting community. Everyone expecting the Bobcats to win. It got to the point where it was almost like a no-win situation for the Cats. Or a big downside for losing, because now the Cats are actually expected to win this, and if they don't, it's going to be disappointment. And I felt almost more just like relief when the Cats won this game. I think there was a lot of pressure on the Cats to win this game, and it was going bad, and I was not looking forward to spending any time on Twitter for the next week if the Cats had finished the game the way they kind of started and just kind of got ran out of Albuquerque. So it was a huge win, and I talked about that resume. If you want that top 2 seed, because South Dakota State plays an FBS and North Dakota State, and if they both lose their game and the Cats win this game, the Cats win out, they're top 2 seed. They're probably the 1 seed. Because South Dakota State could go 11-1, and they will have lost to Oklahoma State. And I think in North Dakota State, if they lose to Colorado, actually neither one of those teams can win out because they play each other. So one of them is going to have 2 losses if they both lose their FBS game. So the point is, this is the first step of solidifying a top 2 seed.
Is it better for Montana State to win it like they did, a comeback fashion, than covering the spread?
I think so. I really do. I think it built a lot of
hot take,
a lot of character. Because the Cats got off the rails last year and they never really recovered. I didn't feel, and this first half of this game, a lot of ways felt like a continuation of that. It's like, have we just lost our mojo, or are we just not going to get it back? But we got it back, and I think that the way that we did it is going to be hugely impactful and positive for the team going forward instead of just cruising. I mean, that would have been nice. I think either one would have been good, but I think having adversity already and having to come back and prove that we can win a game when the chips are down like that and everything's not going your way and you're not getting the calls or the spots on 4th down calls, like, I don't know.
That was a terrible call by the ref.
It was a terrible spot.
Terrible spot.
But point is, we overcame all of it. That's what winning teams do.
Wadded Cruzado. Winners find ways to win.
I mean, it's as simple as that.
It's a mantra right now. That's what you keep hearing in the socials, right?
And then, unfortunately, for New Mexico, losers kind of find ways to lose. Because we've been there, man. We've been on that side of the coin. A couple dropped passes, a couple missed field goals. They're kicking themselves.
Yeah.
It's hard to learn how to win sometimes.
I think you're right. I hadn't thought about it too much until this moment, and I think that's a good question to contemplate. Is this a better scenario for the Cats than covering, winning by 2 touchdowns?
Mm-hmm.
I think it shows resiliency, toughness, and the ability to overcome what they really struggled with last year. Woodard talked about it today. McCullough talked about it today. It was like a mental hurdle that was overcome in Albuquerque that they just need to get past. And it's like, oh, that's done now. Let's flush that and move on.
They got that taste out of their mouth from last year, I think.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because you didn't watch Ty McCullough's interview, but that's exactly what he said. He goes, when he had his halftime speech that was talked about, he talked about that in the presser. He said, I just have the taste of North Dakota State in my mouth still. I gotta get that out. Let's go, fellas.
Love it.
They did. I love it. Now, I think it's a great springboard for the season. It's week 0, right? It's week 1, week 0, whatever you want to call it. We're gonna be here in November. We're gonna look back and be like, okay, that was good. That was good. But it could just set up the mentals for the team to just go on and just start kicking ass.
Yep.
You don't have to worry about it anymore. They had adversity. They overcame in a big moment. They executed the 2-minute drive. They got the stop. It all worked out. So now let's go capitalize on it.
Absolutely.
All right, Thorny. And one of the things I asked you today in text message is to come up with a game ball, but I'm going to give you some stipulations on it.
Well, hold on. I want to give this kudos to the guy who reached out to us. This is a Golden Coolie question. It can become a recurring thing. Well, yeah, I sent you a picture of it. Lee Turnbow asked us, what was the biggest key takeaway from the game, and who was your MVP on games on each side of the ball? And that's what kind of prompted the conversation.
Oh, okay.
So,
key takeaway: stability to overcome the breakthrough of the consternation that last season brought. We lost these games last year. We didn't lose it.
That's my key takeaway too, man. Is that that, and we can still run the football. We are still good at running the football. Bronco Mendenhall talked all about it. He's like, we know what they're going to do. And we had a banged up offensive line. And we didn't have Sean Chambers. And we still ran the crap out of the ball for 7.7 yards per carry.
Yeah, I'm sure we did. I have an offensive MVP, a defensive MVP, and an R&R game ball. All 3 different people.
Okay. All right.
Offensive MVP, Adam Jones. Has to be. Defensive MVP, Mikita O'Reilly. The R&R game ball, I didn't clear this with you. I'm speaking on behalf of us right now. Ty McCullough.
Okay. I love it. I was trying to think like who would get it that wasn't the first 2 guys that you said. That's a perfect choice though. Ty McCullough had a very impactful game in a intangible way even too.
Yeah.
Like a leadership type way.
Yeah.
I agree with all the 3 of those. I wouldn't change a thing. I think they're pretty obvious picks in this one.
All right. Where do you want to go from here? Do you want to talk Utah Tech or do you want to talk Golden Coolies?
Utah Tech has a brand new head coach, Lance Anderson. They brought in 1 million transfers. They're picked 8th in the UAC out of 9 teams. There, we talked about Utah Tech.
I went back into their records the last couple of years. They're like 2-9, 3-7, or not 3-7. 3-8. They're kind of bad. We kicked the crap out of them last year.
They have 1 player on the preseason all-conference team, and it's their long snapper. They got a big-time transfer. That guy started games at Iowa last year. I don't remember his name. But he's a big kid.
All right.
But he's a quarterback at Iowa, so...
It's going to be hot. It's going to be late. Coach Vegan said it was going to be like 90 degrees still at 8 o'clock. I'm like, what?
In Bozeman? Or is it in Utah? It's in Utah. It's in Utah.
Yeah,
that's right.
St. George.
That's right. Yeah, that's right.
In St. George, so.
Well, it's an away game. So 2 away games in a row in 2 hot climates. I mean, if you want to have any sort of things to be concerned about, I guess, maybe. Could be something to keep an eye on.
That's a good research question. We don't have a research team. When's the last time Montana State opened the season with 2 away games?
I know, it seems like that's not really what happens.
Nope.
Yeah, that's good. That is a good question.
All right. Let's get into Golden Coolie questions. We didn't get into last week because of the snafu. I did want to get to this one. This is such a good one. Montana Cowpoke 22 authored one out there that generated a ton of responses. And here it is. We haven't talked about it, and I've been waiting for this one. Down 5, 2 minutes left, 80 yards to go. Sounds familiar? Which trio do you trust to win the game? Number 1, Travis Lulay, Junior Adams, Scott Turnquist. Number 2, Denarius, Elvis, Akpla, and Tanner Bleskin. Number 3, Dakota Prukop, Mitch Herbert, Mitch Grabel. Or number 4, Tommy Malott, Lance McCutcheon, Willie Patterson.
Well, I'm going to start eliminating. I'm going to eliminate Prukop. I hate to do it, but the guy just didn't seem to have the clutch kind of moments. I mean, I can't eliminate Tommy Malott because he just did it. Now, granted, that's Lance McCutcheon and who was the other guy? Willie Patterson.
Willie.
I mean,
Dakota and Tommy are off the board.
How do you cross Tommy off when he just did it though? That's what's killing me. So Tommy just did it, but I'm gonna go ahead and not pick Tommy. It seems silly. I guess we could pretend this question was before the game or something. I don't know, but otherwise
it was.
It's a Lulay probably. Lulay and Ryan or Junior Adams and Scott Turnquist, yeah. McGee's right there. That's a tough one.
Lulay was such a gamer. So was McGee. Oh my gosh, that's a tough one.
It's a tough one. I think Lulay was the comeback kid, though.
Down 5. So, scenario, down 5, 2 minutes to go. Yeah, I'm going Lulay. Hands down.
Yeah, I think I got to pick Lulay, too. If I'm not picking the guy who just did it. Tommy touchdown a lot.
Gosh.
But the interesting thing, though, is he just had receivers, though. So he has, like, quarterbacks and then 2 receivers. Mm-hmm. And Tommy would, I guess Tommy did throw the ball most of that entire drive. There wasn't very much running. I don't know. I'll pick Lulay, but I feel bad not picking Tommy because he literally just did exactly that.
That's such a good question. Good job, Montana Cowboys.
That's a great question. I love kind of those historical what ifs. They're completely meaningless and impossible to quantify, but they're fun.
Montana Bob says, why didn't Coach challenge the second Tommy fumble? It looked like the arm was coming forward when it was dislodged by contact.
Well, I mean, the booth reviewed it.
Yeah, that's what MSU 01 says.
It took forever. I don't know why he didn't review the Scotchy Humphrey spot. That's the one I think he could have challenged. Probably would have been possible with just a scrum of bodies there, but yeah, that's the one they should have challenged.
Let's see here. Oh gosh, Montana Bob. I'm not going to read that online. It's gross. Ain't doing it. Smith 427 says, given the next 6 weeks are very easy, would you like to see Jordan Reed start an entire game to give him the experience to save the mileage on Tommy? And if so, what game?
No, I don't think I'd like him to start the entire game. I would like to see him get some plenty of time, though.
Yeah, I think I had a Golden Coolie question or a buy or sell. Let's see where I have a bold prediction. Tommy plays 2 quarters this weekend. Buy or sell that?
Tommy plays 2 quarters?
And only 2 quarters.
I don't know if we pull Tommy after 2 quarters if we're winning 70-0. I don't know if that's what Vegan does.
So the next 6 games we have Utah Tech. We could play Maine, Gold Rush. We have an open on September 14th. We play Mercyhurst.
Ugh.
There's the game right there.
That's the one. If Jordan Reed's going to play, it's going to be Mercyhurst.
Yeah, and then we play
Maine
at
probably be
Idaho
tougher than you think they're going to be.
At Idaho State and at Northern Colorado. And Northern Colorado comes for homecoming. So we have ostensibly 6 weeks of kick-ass football where we're just going to roll it up.
Yeah, theoretically, the toughest one then there's probably Maine. And Maine's not very good, but at least they're a CAA, legitimate program.
No, I'm going to disagree because that's Gold Rush. We're going to roll in Gold Rush.
That's true.
That's the most
that'll be our first game back after this little road spell. Yeah, it's going to be
I think the hardest game is going to be at Idaho State. I think Idaho State just could still take it to anybody.
No, they suck.
They suck. Okay. All right. Okay. So Smith 427 again with just really good questions. And do we start Reed for an entire game? No, we don't. That would be silly. I get what you're going at, but do we play him half the game? Would it be okay with me if we played him 3/4 of the game? Yeah, I would be okay with that. Mercyhurst, I'm really interested to see how we. It's gonna be a really boring game, but how Montana State approaches that game.
Well, the funny thing is, usually when a team is up and you're pulling your starters, and you get out the backups and the backup quarterback, you typically run the ball, right?
Yeah,
because that's like the mercy part of it. That's the opposite for Montana State. We would come out there and throw the ball because that's what we do worst. So bringing out Jordan Reed and having him chuck the ball over the place is probably like more. That's probably nicer than even like our second string offensive line and our first string running back because they're probably still going to rip up opponents.
Yeah,
it's like I mean, I want Reed to get some actual snaps in, and that isn't just handing the ball off. I want him to be sling the ball around a little bit, run the offense. If he's going to come in, run the offense.
Comes in, passes for 300 in the second half.
I would love it.
I
mean, I feel kind of bad for the opponent, but
yeah, everybody be like, those cats are just dicks.
Rolling up the score. Just quarterbacks out there throwing 60-yard touchdown passes in the fourth quarter. What are they doing?
Yeah. Bleeding Blue says, does Adam Jones and Scotchy both break 1,000 yards this season?
That seems like a pretty tall task.
We went down even last year. It's like 600, 700 yards for top rushers. I don't see it happening.
I mean, maybe. Well, it's a 12-game season, and if we get to 14 games, maybe. So it's possible. It's going to take a few extra games.
So Julius Davis had 739 yards.
Yeah, and Davis will be back too. So like he's going to take carries away.
Tommy had 716, but here's something interesting. Sean Chambers had 732. So who are you going to give that 732 yards to? Now that Chambers is gone, right?
Yeah, it's a good.
Jared White had 526.
And they obviously are not going to run Tommy as much. That Vegan said in the post presser.
Scotchy had 437. Elijah had 281. So it's conceivable. It's like actually looking more likely.
I don't know. Davis is going to get at least 500. And they could all end up with like 700.
I think Adam Jones is going to be the star back by the end of the season. He's going to have 1,000 yards. All right. Cage Rage. Which one of you turned the game off in the third quarter and had to rush to find the TV after learning?
Oh, I mean, I already said that. My kind of story. Yeah. I was rushing to find a cell phone in a bar.
Okay. That's thorny. Good job. That's a good question.
You didn't turn it off at all, fully?
Heck no.
Nice. You just took a 20-minute walk around your neighborhood?
I did one walk.
That's the same thing.
Sort of. Turn it off. I didn't turn it off.
You left your TV screen. Same diff.
Yeah, shut up. Cats are back, 76. We didn't seem to get any pressure on the QB this weekend. We hadn't talked about that. That's a good point.
Yeah, how do we not talk about that? We talked about it a little bit in the instant reaction show. Yeah, the defensive line didn't get any pressure.
We didn't talk hardly anything defensive-wise. Is the defensive philosophy thing from Daly a typical first game of the year, learning as you go, or do we need an intentionalize more pressure packages from the linebacker defensive back spots?
It seemed to be kind of a package to keep things in front of us with a mobile quarterback. And we did, for the most part, except for the couple, Ort got beat deep, but I don't know. It was just dinking and diving us all day long. But we ended up shutting out their offense in the second half, so.
Yeah, something has to change to me. As he says, tagging on, can we risk blitzing a linebacker who isn't as fast as Troy or as talented as Callahan? Not calling out anyone here, not recognizing every year's group brings its different strengths and personalities that is different. Are we a blitzing D? That's a great question. Are we a blitzing D?
Well, we weren't Saturday.
Nope. Doesn't feel like it.
I hope that we do some more blitzing. I don't want to be like a super blitz heavy team, but you got to do it once in a while.
I kind of like being blitz heavy. I like pressure. Like I said, I can go back, 3-4 episodes. I want to dictate terms. I want to make them feel uncomfortable.
Yeah, well, that didn't happen Saturday. New Mexico dictated all the terms.
I think Montana State really likes getting home with 4 guys and then just smothering you on the back end. But that doesn't always happen.
No.
So
if your front four don't do it, then then there's too many open holes in the defense.
I think every team in the nation would like to get home with 4.
Well, yeah, it's the dream, right?
All right. Let's see. And I think that's about it on Bobcat Nation.
All right. Well, I don't have anything on anywhere else.
Okay. So, let's see.
Probably the Lule question, right?
Yeah, I think I've been waiting to ask that one for a long time. So, that was Montana Cowpoke 22. Woo! Good job. Get at me. Send me a private message. I'm going to send you Golden Coolie, a sticker, a magnet. I'm going to throw a whole bunch of swag in there. It's been good.
Good question. It was fun.
All right. An hour 20 into this. Let's get out of here.
Yeah, I'm fading already.
Yep.
I don't got the stamina, apparently.
Got the venom pulsing through you right now.
It's only 10 o'clock, too. It's like this is fairly early for us to be done, and I'm just, I'm done.
Yeah,
well, thanks again to Gear Up Sports for being our sponsor. Thanks to everyone for listening to us again for this season, and welcome in any, wow, killing this one. Welcome in any new listeners. We appreciate you finding us here in our little corner of the Bobcat internet. You can always find us on Twitter, RRCatcast. You can find us on the web, rrcatcast.com. You can find us on Bobcat Nation. I am Celtic Cat. He is Common Cat, if you didn't know that. Sorry. Pretty sure everyone knows that. Yeah, just get out here, man. Let's go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.